I'm Mark Sanchez.
Hi, this is Chris Collinsworth, and you're watching JR Sports Brief. Lock it in because we're loaded and ready to go.
So look, folks, it's JR. You're checking out the Sport Brief, and we have a legend in the house. Are you ready for this, Tim?
Ready. I'm ready for it.
Okay, listen, this is going to be a long line of accomplishments. I'm going to truncate it, okay? We have the 1987 Heisman Award winner. Is that okay?
That's right. That's right.
Okay, cool. We have someone who has a whole lot of wide receiver records for the Raiders and the NFL. Is that okay?
That's okay.
We would be here all day if we spoke about that.
It's a long list, for sure.
And this is another important one. I'm going to say it. Future Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about that. Is that okay if I say that?
That's okay. We can go with that.
It's going to happen. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. And we have Mr. Brown here in New York City. We all know the Heisman Award is going to be given out. A former winner here. We're in the middle or towards the end of the NFL season. We're going to talk about some football. And then you also have an awesome book here, The Making of a Man. And we're going to talk about that too. Listen, Tim, when you come on the Sport Brief, we don't play games.
I hear you.
Okay?
I see that.
We don't do any of that. But listen, man, I've been out and about, and let's start off with some college football, okay? I've been out of touch. We have the college football playoff. The 4 teams have been announced. We have, Alabama, Ohio State, FSU, and Oregon. What do you think about the playoff system in general?
I think it turned out probably as best as it probably could this year. The only team that's probably licking their wounds right now is Baylor. I think a lot of people thought Baylor should have made it in, and I actually thought if Baylor would have made it in, I thought they would have won the national championship because the offense is so unique. I don't think anybody can prepare for it. But the 4 teams that are there, I think there are going to be some great semifinal games, and certainly we should get a great national championship game also.
Cool. Who do you think, if you had to pick one team, who's your heavy favorite to go ahead and win this first one?
Boy, I tell you what, man, this is going to be tough. FSU has played great, obviously been undefeated, but, they won games. They probably hadn't played the best football all year. Alabama is tough, and Oregon. But I would love to see Oregon finally win it, but I really think it's going to be Alabama again.
Okay, it's a Crimson Tide and the SEC. It's just all the case. What do you think about Jameis Winston and FSU?
Again, they've won games this year. They haven't dominated, I don't think, in any game, but I think at the same time, they've had the ability to come back and win games late and finish very strong. So they're going to be a tough out for somebody, no doubt about it. But at the same time, I think some of these turnovers and mistakes that he's making, he's not going to be able to do that in the semifinal game. So if he makes a mistake early, it could cost him a game.
Hey, you make mistakes, you're going to pay. That's a life lesson. I don't care if it's football or anywhere in life. Now, when we talking about mistakes here, we're going to talk about your former team, okay? Oh, my goodness.
Do we have time to talk about all the mistakes?
One more time. I said mistakes in former team, and you just said, what's up with the Raiders?
I think this year, man, they got caught thinking they had the gun loaded, but they had a few blanks in the gun, So, they had some injuries defensively. They lost all 3 starting linebackers. You can't play with backups. The people are backups for a reason until they're ready to play. Sometimes they're ready right out of college, and sometimes it takes a couple years. Offensively, they had no consistency with the wide receiver position. So, running back position, McFadden was out, and MJ3 was out, for a couple of weeks. So, anytime you can't have consistency in your offense and you don't know what guys are capable of doing from week to week because of injuries, it just makes it very difficult to beat teams in the NFL. This is not college we're talking about. We're talking about the NFL, and, guys get paid to beat you. And if you're not prepared, it's just going to make it impossible.
And that's from Mr. Raider himself. Well, I look at it this way. I like the New York Jets. So it sounds like when you start talking about backups out there playing and starting, and you start talking about wide receiver corps who aren't ready, then that's kind of the same thing. What do you think about Derek Carr and his future?
I think Derek Carr is going to be pretty good. If he can perform with the group that he has around him now, then once he gets some real talent around him, let me back up. It's not that these guys are not talented. They're just not playing the type of football that they need to be playing. Obviously, they're talented players, or they wouldn't be in the NFL. But he needs one dynamic receiver. He needs somebody that when he gets the ball, hey, the Raider fans think I can still come back to it. They don't want to see me on the football field right now, that's for sure. But he needs that guy. We call him the woo-woo guy. The woo-woo guy. So when he gets the ball, everybody goes woo woo. You know, you need that guy, and we don't have that guy on the Raiders right now. And I know there are a lot of other things that they need, but getting a player like that would be a good start.
Maybe with the Raiders, it's more like woo woo. Aww. And we're talking about the current set of quarterbacks. Let's talk about the NFL right now. We're getting ready to head into the whole playoff chase. Who do you like? Who are you favoring? We know the Packers, the Patriots. We know that the usual suspects are out there. What do you think?
Well, you know, this Arizona team just can't get in their luck. You know, I mean, they win a game last night, but they lose their backup quarterback, and who knows how long he's going to be out. And I tell you, it's they're a very good football team, especially on the defensive side. Right. So, but with not playing with their third string quarterback, I just don't see them being able to go very far in the playoffs, even if they make it, because now I think they still need to win one more game, and with your backup quarterback, that's not a guarantee. I remember one year with the Raiders, we were 8-2, and all we needed was one more game to win, and we went 8-8 with our backup quarterback. So that's going to be a problem. So, I think when you look at the AFC, certainly the Patriots you have to talk about. The Broncos, I don't know about them this year. I mean, it may be the way they need to go into the playoffs still, because
What happened to Peyton Manning? The arm is like, what happened? He stunk the past couple weeks. They win.
yeah, but this may be because last year they were so great. And, oh my God, the Broncos are going to win. So I think this year it may have a little bit more of a chip on their shoulders, and I think from that standpoint, maybe they'll feel as if they need to still go prove something, and we'll see what happens. But it's going to be interesting. I think the Packers are going to win the Super Bowl. I just think Aaron Rodgers right now is in such a groove that, I mean, he is almost impossible to stop, So we'll see, though. I think it's great. The parity in the NFL right now with all the teams still up in the playoff race, I think is remarkable. And that's what the league wants. You got, 18, 19, 20 teams still with the legitimate shot of making the playoffs. And they have a lot of division games coming up for the next couple of weeks. So it's going to be some great runs and great games, and hopefully be some great football.
We even have loser teams that are still in the race. We're talking about 4-8 and 4-9. We even got teams with ties in there. What do you think about that division? What happened to the Saints? The Buccaneers we're used to. You may have some insight from the year there. The Saints and the Panthers. What do you think about that? They may actually push a good team out.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way it is. It happened a couple of years ago with the NFC West, where somebody made the playoffs at 7-9. I don't know 7-9 is going to be the mark in the NFC South this year. It may be 6-10 that wins that division, but it's tough, man. The Saints, I think, is a team that everybody's like, what the world is going on? And if you look at Drew Brees, he's just not playing the type of football that you're accustomed to seeing him play. So, and anytime he doesn't play well, that means the defense is going to be on the field more, and they're going to get exposed, and that's exactly what has happened. But Tampa, everybody thought it would be a rebuilding year for them. A little disappointed with Cam Newton and that crew, but at the same time, they got a lot of stuff going on down there. Atlanta, I mean, the coach may get fired if they don't make the playoffs this year.
It's been a while with them. They are due. Maybe I think they've passed their point of when Tony Gonzalez left, that was it for them.
Well, you can tell, you lose a great player like that, it's hard to replace him, and not on the field probably more than in the locker room, because, that wisdom that a 17, 18-year vet has is just far beyond anything else that they can get in the locker room.
Cool. And you spoke about Drew Brees. That dude is like a video game. But right now we're going to talk about reality, the making of a man. This is your book.
Yes,
it's based on real life. Break it down. What is this bad boy about?
Well, we wanted to, towards the end of my career, I was getting a lot of people coming to me and talking to them and basically saying to me, hey, look, really appreciate the way you handle yourself off the field and representing the Raiders and my family. And certainly I'm getting a lot of that in retirement. So basically I wanted people to know that I wasn't plucked down from Pluto or some extraterrestrial being or something, that what I did, many people can do or anybody can do. And so what we did is we just went back, and towards the end of my 20s, I said to myself, as best I possibly could, I was going to try and live by the principles of the Bible. And by doing that, it kept me out of the limelight in a negative way, and everything you pretty much heard about me was hopefully on a positive tip, So, so I think what I decided to do was, to put down some of these principles that I tried to live by, and in hopes that some young brother out there, and when I say brother, I don't mean just some African American kid, right, will be able to pick this book up and say, wow, there's more to life than what I'm doing, or some old brother out there that may, still be struggling a little bit, and just to see that if you try this, it works. If it worked for me, then I know it'll work for somebody else, man. And, this is not Tim Brown preaching to anybody. This is not Tim Brown how-to-do type book or whatever. But basically, I'm just trying to get people to pick up the Bible and read it. And by doing that, it'll put you in a different place, because if you read it and believe it and live by it, then certainly it'll keep you out of trouble.
I can dig it. And you talk about your positive image. I haven't heard anything negative about Tim Brown ever. Maybe, am I looking at the wrong books or no?
No. Well, it's not that we've tried to stay out of the limelight. It's just, a negative limelight. But it's just been a situation, man, where, if you make good decisions, good things happen. And when you have kids and you get married and I did a lot of things because I never wanted my mom to be accosted coming out of church or coming out the grocery store. It was still a lot of that going on too, But or my dad before he passed, I always said, I'm built for this. I'm used to being in front of the camera. But if somebody comes up with Mr. Brown, your son was arrested for drunk driving. How do you, that's not fair to them. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to react to that. So it's called accountability. You have to be accountable to somebody. And for a while, I was accountable to my parents. And once I learned there was an even more higher thing I should be accountable to, then that's what I tried to do.
Well, that's awesome, man. Anybody, make sure you go ahead and pick up the book. And here on JR Sport Brief, we have something called JR Wisdom. And I think I took a few lines out of there. When you make good decisions, good things happen. That's what Mr. Brown said. And that's why you're heading to the Hall of Fame. How do you feel about that? It has not happened. I'm putting this out there. It's going to happen. How does that feel? How does the whole waiting process feel?
Well, it's tough, no doubt about it, especially when so many people are coming, oh, you should be, oh, why aren't you, and it makes it tough. But, it's a process. You have to understand the process. And I say this all the time. I would not like to be these voters. When at the end of the day you made somebody mad. You walk out there, you just disappointed a few guys. That's a tough thing for them to do. So it's tough on them. It's tough on the players who are waiting. Andre Reed waited 9-10 years to get in, and he finally got in. And if you ask him about the wait, he'll tell you it was well worth it at this particular point. So with all the great receivers that have come out over the last few years, man, including the great Jerry Rice and Chris Carter, you can't. I should win it before them. But that's what you want to say. From that standpoint, it's tough, man, because everybody was hoping they would put all three of us in 1 year, just get it over with. But so we're hoping now that being that I'm the last of the '80s receivers, that they go ahead and get the old guy out the way and then deal with these younger guys who are coming up. So we'll see what happens.
It's Tim Brown. It's Mr. Raider, future NFL Hall of Famer. Mr. Brown, where can people go ahead and get that book?
TheMakingOfAMan.net. You can pick up the book there, or Barnes & Nobles, Amazon.com. You should be able to get it there also.
Listen, people, you better go get that book. And Mr. Raider, Mr. Brown, Mr. Future Hall of Famer, this is it. Just wave bye to everybody out there in Sport Brief Land.
Deuces. Peace.